Hello, welcome to another EDH/Commander gameplay video. I'm your boy, 15 pounds heavier after the holidays, Calvin. And we got some spicy content for you today. You might notice I'm in my car right now. I have the heat turned on to 2 because I ain't gonna die in Michigan weather, no. And I got my trusty pal, I got Hobbs with me. This how you doing, little buddy? How you doing? I've had him since I was literally 0 years old. And I'm right outside one of my local game stores because I'm gonna do one of those notorious trade-ins. Give them some magic cards, I get other magic cards in return. I'm fracking Yugi Moto from the start of the Battle City arc. Or am I a 10? Comment down below if you get that nerd reference, and hopefully I'm done with capitalism by the time the gameplay is over. See you in a bit.
As always, if you like the show or anything else we're doing over here on YouTube, liking, sharing, and subscribing helps us out immensely. If you like our content and don't mind taking that extra step, you can always support us over on Patreon at MTG The Stack.
Brendan MCG.
My hair's not.
Brendan MCG.
Brendan MCG.
Brendan MCG.
Comment down below any of your thoughts or feelings, and we hope you enjoy the show.
For today's game, Calvin's rocking Edric, Spymaster, Trest, a low-to-the-ground creature deck bent on drawing most of his deck with Edric's political ability, finding extra turn effects, and closing the game through combat. His opening hand includes a Phyrexian Revoker, Mausoleum Wanderer, Occam Adversary, Triton Shore Stalker, Gilded Goose, Wooded Foothills, and Breeding Pool. Next, Adrian is rocking his Sakashima and Vial Smasher deck, a Grixis mid-range build designed to get Vial Smasher after Vial Smasher into play in order to flip many coins and deal massive damage. His opening hand includes a Twilight Prophet, Vizier of Many Faces, a Braid, Dockside Extortionist, Mystic Remora, City of Brass, and a Flooded Strand. Next, Guy is rocking Meren of Clan Nell Toth, which Adrian refers to as Honorless Meren, a combo midrange deck trying to abuse inherent synergies with Green-Black Graveyard Matters effects to close out the game. His opening hand includes an Abrupt Decay, Demonic Tutor, Elves of the Deep Shadow, Command Tower, Ancient Tomb, Lenra Wastes, and Misty Rainforest. Finally, we have Ajdin rocking Animar Soul of Elements, the boomer commander of the bunch, which normally intends to cast Animar, power him into the stratosphere by casting creatures, and then turning sideways. His opening hand includes a Void Slime, Veil of Summer, Saruk Dragonclaw, Sages of the Anima, Sulphur Falls, Misty Rainforest, and an Altered Ego gets shipped to the bottom of his library. Alright, untap, upkeep, draw step. What the fuck is this? Round 1, Calvin's going to shock in a Breeding Pool and cast Gilded Goose, creating a food token and passing the turn. Adrian's going to draw, he's going to drop a City of Brass, lose a life tapping it in order to cast a Mystic Remora, ending his turn. Then Guy is going to draw a card, drop a Command Tower, and he's going to cast Elves of the Deep Shadow, ending his turn. Then Ajdin is going to drop a Misty Rainforest and pass. Calvin's going to untap, draw, he's going to drop a Verdant Catacombs, crack a Verdant Catacombs and find a basic forest, then he's going to tap out, sacrificing his food token in the process in order to cast his commander, Edric, Spymaster, Trest. He's then going to pass the turn. Adrian's going to untap, pay for the Mystic Remora using the City of Brass, losing the life. He's going to draw a card, drop a Flooded Strand, and then pass the turn. Guy's going to untap, he's going to draw a card, he's going to drop a Misty Rainforest, then he's going to attack Ajdin for 1 with the Elves of the Deep Shadow, triggering Edric and drawing a card. He's then going to tap his Command Tower in order to cast a Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite Shaman.
Thanks, I hate it.
And then he's going to crack the Misty Rainforest, searching his library for a Bayou, and then cast a Caustic Caterpillar.
Dude, stop.
But before he can end the turn, Ajdin's going to crack his Misty Rainforest.
Well, you were useless. All you did was cost me 2 life. I'm trying to figure out, do I keep this around for another turn? Probably not.
Do you?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm telling you, man, I don't plan on casting non-creature spells.
I'm starting to realize what a dumb idea this was.
Ajdin's going to find a Breeding Pool, let it enter play tapped, and then he's going to have his turn. He'll untap, draw, he'll drop a Sulphur Falls, and then he'll pass the turn. Round 3, Calvin's going to untap, draw, he's going to drop a Misty Rainforest, enter combat.
Bully the Animar player.
Yeah, I'm going to bully the Animar player.
Oh.
He's going to attack Ajdin with Edric, Spymaster, Trest, dealing 2 commander damage and drawing a card off his ability, and then he's going to crack the Misty Rainforest, searching his library for a basic island and dropping it into play. He's then going to tap that island in order to cast a Mausoleum Wanderer, and then he's going to tap the rest of his mana in order to cast an Occam Adversary for its reduced cost due to Meren's board. Before he can pass the turn, Adrian's going to crack his Flooded Strand, search his library for his Steam Vents, put it into play tapped, and then Calvin's turn will end.
Fish trigger? Fuck this fish. A draw for turn.
After pitching the fish, Adrian's going to drop a command tower and then cast his commander, Vial Smasher the Fierce, ending his turn. Guy's going to untap, draw.
I'm gonna enter combat.
You can enter combat.
I'm gonna
Bully the Animar player?
I'm gonna swing at
Draw 4 cards?
Ajdin for 3.
Yo, Meren's gonna win, just so you guys know, we're fucked.
After dealing 3 damage to Ajdin and drawing 3 cards off the Edric, Guy is going to cast Abrupt Decay, destroying the Edric, which Calvin will throw to his graveyard. Guy's then going to drop a Marsh Flats and then crack it, searching his library for an Overgrown Tomb, which he will shock in, dropping himself down to 36. He is then going to tap the Overgrown Tomb in order to cast Sylvan Safekeeper, ending his turn. On Ajdin's turn, he'll drop a Reflecting Pool and pass. Calvin's going to untap, and then on his upkeep, he's going to cast Noxious Revival, paying 2 life, putting Edric on top of his library, and then he'll draw Edric. He'll drop a Wooded Foothills, and then he's going to cast Edric, Spymaster a Trest. He's then going to move into the red zone, swinging at Guy with the Oakham Adversary and Mausoleum Wanderer, dealing 3 damage and drawing 3 cards. He's then going to pass the turn. Adrian's going to untap, draw, he'll throw his Vial Smasher at Ajdin, dealing 2 damage to him and triggering Edric, drawing a card, and then he's going to cast Talisman of Dominance, triggering Vial Smasher and dealing 2 damage at random to one of his opponents, this time being Guy. He is then going to tap his City of Brass and Talisman, losing 1 life, to cast a Braid, trying to deal 3 damage to the Edric. Calvin will respond by sacrificing Mausoleum Wanderer, countering the spell. This will end Adrian's turn. Guy will untap, draw. He is then going to move into the red zone on Ajdin with everything, dealing 4 damage to Ajdin and drawing 4 cards off the Edric. He is then going to tap 2 and cast Demonic Tutor, searching his library for a Squirrel's Nest and adding it to his hand. Guy will then drop a forest and he'll tap out in order to cast a Grimflayer, ending his turn. Ajdin then is going to untap, draw, shock into Steam Vents, and then finally cast Animar, passing the turn. On his end step, Calvin's going to crack his Wooded Foothills and search his library for a Dryad Arbor, putting it into play. Round 5, Calvin's going to untap, draw.
Adrian Hunter.
4?
5.
5? I take
Yeah.
5.
I'm gonna draw 4.
After dealing the combat damage, Calvin's going to draw 4 cards, 3 off the Edric and 1 off the Adversary. He'll then drop a basic forest and tap both of his forests in order to cast Phyrexian Revoker, which will enter the battlefield naming Sylvan Safekeeper on Guy's side of the board. Calvin will then pass the turn. Adrian's going to untap, draw, and then after some hesitation, Adrian's going to throw the Vial Smasher at Guy, who will then proceed to block with the Grimflayer, which will deny Adrian the card draw but destroy the Grimflayer. Adrian's then going to cast Sakashima of 1,000 Faces from the command zone, dealing 4 Vial Smasher damage to Ajdin, ending the turn. Guy will untap, draw. Guy will then drop an Ancient Tomb before casting an Earthcraft. Calvin will respond by casting Force of Negation, exiling Tetsuko Umezawa out of his hand. Guy will respond by making mana from the Deathbright Shaman in order to cast Veil of Summer. And then Calvin will respond by casting Delay, targeting the Veil of Summer and suspending it with 3 time counters. Everything will resolve accordingly, and the Earthcraft will be countered. Guy will then throw the rest of his creatures at Ajdin, dealing 3 damage and drawing 3 cards off the Edric, and then Guy is going to cast Utopia Sprawl, enchanting his forest, naming black, and then he'll tap out the rest of his mana, losing 2 life from the Ancient Tomb, in order to cast his commander, Meren. He'll move to end step, Meren will trigger, and he'll add Grimflayer back to his hand, ending his turn. Ajdin's going to untap, draw, throw his Animar at Guy, dealing 1 damage and drawing a card off the Edric, then he'll pass the turn. Round 6, Calvin's going to untap, draw, he'll drop an Alchemist Refuge, and then he's going to tap 2 in order to cast the Recluse, and then he's going to move into combat.
I'm throwing the Oakham Adversary, I think at you, and then I would like to throw the rest at the guy who currently has no blockers. I'm sorry. Take the
Yes.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
We made a cat. This is my cat. Don't think about it.
Calvin will then pass the turn. Adrian will untap, draw, he'll drop a Sulphurous Springs, then he'll move into the red zone on Ajdin, dealing 4 damage and triggering Edric twice, drawing 2 cards. He's then going to tap 4 mana in order to cast Clever Impersonator, which will trigger Vial Smasher and Vial Smasher. The first Vial Smasher trigger will deal 4 damage to Calvin, and the second Vial Smasher trigger will deal 4 damage to Guy. Clever Impersonator will then enter the battlefield as a copy of Sakashima, and then Adrian will pass the turn. After Adrian discards his cards for end of turn, Guy is going to untap, draw, then he'll move into the red zone, throwing Meren at Adrian and the Caustic Caterpillar and Sylvan Safekeeper at Ajdin. He'll deal his damage, he'll draw 3 cards because of the Edric, and then he'll move into his second main phase. First, Guy's going to cast a Fiend Artisan. Second, Guy's going to cast an Apprentice Necromancer. Then he'll drop a Llanowar Waste before casting Arbor Elf. And then finally, he will cast Elvish Mystic. At the end of Guy's turn, Ajdin's going to cast Worldly Tutor, searching his library for an ancestral statue and putting it on top of his library. Ajdin will then untap, draw, cast the ancestral statue, put a +1/+1 counter on Animar, then bounce the statue back to his hand. But before he passes the turn, Calvin's going to make a food token on his end step. Calvin will untap, draw, then he's going to tap 7 mana, leaving 1 open, in order to cast Nexus of Fate. Nexus of Fate resolves, he is then going to move into combat, throwing 3 creatures at Ajdin. Ajdin's going to block the token with the Animar, and then before damage happens, Guy's going to cast Assassin's Trophy, targeting Edric. The trophy's going to resolve, Calvin's going to get a basic island, and then all the creatures are going to connect. This is going to kill the token, and then Calvin will draw only 1 card from the Occam adversary. Because he drew an extra card, he will make a cat token off the Recluse. Calvin's first extra turn, he's going to untap, draw, play Cavern of Souls, naming Elf, then he'll cast Edric from the command zone, followed by tapping out in order to cast a Temporal Manipulation, giving him another extra turn. He will then turn sideways onto Ajdin once more, trading Ajdin's life for 5 cards.
We made a cat. Let's untap.
On his next extra turn, Calvin's going to untap, draw, he'll drop a City of Brass, and then he's going to turn sideways onto Adrian, holding the Edric back. Adrian's going to block the Recluse with his Clever Impersonator, which means 4 creatures are going to connect, drawing Calvin 5 cards. But if you pay very close attention, somehow, as Calvin focuses really hard on drawing his cards and the rest of the table is focusing on how Calvin's going to go infinite, no one ticks down Adrian's life total. Why? But never mind that now. Here's a personal tutor, which is going to find Notorious Throng. Calvin will finish the turn by casting Triton Shorestalker and Flying Men. Adrian, desperate to roll some dice, untaps, draws, gonna drop a Shivan Reef, and then he's gonna tap 4 mana in order to cast Sakashima the Imposter. Vial Smasher will trigger, hurting Calvin, then Vial Smasher will trigger, hurting Guy, then Vial Smasher will trigger, hurting Calvin, and then Adrian is going to move into the red zone on Guy.
Trigger Edric, trigger Edric, trigger Edric.
And then for his final trick, he's going to drop a Lightning Grease, equipping it onto his Sakashima Commander, passing the turn. Guy's going to untap, draw, he's going to drop a basic Forest, and then he's going to tap a whole lot of mana in order to cast a Finale of Devastation where X equals 7. Calvin will respond by casting Negate.
I think I want a Fierce Guardianship your negate. No, that's stupid. I have it, but that would just be picking the winner. That's really stupid.
Yeah, wait,
It
yeah.
doesn't actually do anything. I still lose.
I mean, you've got that's 4 triggers.
Well, that's 4 triggers.
Oh shit. All right, gentlemen.
Because you might kill Guy or...
Fierce Guardianship.
Yeah. This is like the one deck.
What up? You. 1, 2, 3. You. 1, 2, 3. You. 1, 2, 3. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Ah! 1, 2, 3. I tried. Okay, pass priority.
Alright, I will lose a life to Yavimaya Coast. And I am going to Spell Pierce, Fierce Guardianship.
It happened.
Which say that is still countered.
I tried to kill you, guy.
Thank you.
Last turn I narrate, don't you worry, Calvin's gonna untap his lands, then he's gonna untap his creatures, and then he's gonna draw his personally tutored card. And then he's gonna take a little bit of time making his creatures look all nice and pretty before moving into the endgame.
Enter combat.
It's hard to play.
Unblockable and flyer at Guy, and a bunch of 2-power at Adrian. A 2/3 and a 2/1. Okay. Kill Guy. This dies. Draw 5.
Do you have an
6.
extra turn spell in your hand?
I do.
Okay, that's whatever. Just
He tutored for it.
1, 2, 3.
How much am I taking, by the way?
6. 5, 6. Second main phase.
Prowl.
Yeah, it's Prowl. We will Notorious Throng. Or extra the damage dealt to your opponent's this turn. That would be 7.
So you make 7 dudes and you take an extra turn.
7 dudes, I take an extra turn. There are still spells in my hand that I can play.
Tears. Crying.
Cry, 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 cry.
Jesus Christ.
So, I'm back inside. I picked up some triomes. I now have all of the triomes. I only got 3 today. I had the red-white ones at home. And now my Golos deck gets to be absolutely fucking gorgeous. The first deck I want to get out of the way right now is the Animar deck. I want to get out Ajdin's plays. It might have looked very strange if you know how. It might have looked very strange if you know how Animar is played. If you've seen Animar on the channel before, you've seen Ajdin play decks before. It was really weird. Why did Ajdin do a whole fuckload of nothing? Well, the reason why Ajdin did a whole fuckload of nothing is because he looked around at the pod and he saw that every one of these decks were decks that were trying to go as fast as possible, more or less. There were no control players. There was no fun police. And I think Ajdin took it upon himself to be the fun police this game. That's kind of correct, I think. You know, who's the beatdown? Ajdin looked around, he saw that everyone else sort of sets up before him, and he was like, okay, they're the beatdown, I'm not. I gotta sort of control and try and get to a combo kill. And that's what Ajdin was trying to build to the entire time. He had the Ancestral Statue in his hand. He cast it once. And maybe if he had another turn to untap, that would have been just game over for us. But Ajdin just went too slow. There's an argument that if Ajdin cast his Animar a turn earlier, the first turn he could have, this would have been a completely different game. But Ajdin decided to be the control player. He tried to be the fun police in the pod we explicitly set up to have no fun police. And may that be the lesson for you to learn when you learn how to do the EDH/Commander gameplay video. Sometimes the correct decision is to just jam. Just jam, Ajdin. Just don't even think about it. Just don't even think. After that is the Sakashima/Vial Smasher deck. And the thing that's interesting about the Sakashima/Vial Smasher deck is it did exactly what it set out to do. It put down Smash Boy, it put down clones, and it dealt damage. That's it. That's all it did. I think it cast 7 spells. Mystic Remora, Vial Smasher, Talisman, Clone, Fierce Guardianship. That's 4 more spells than what Ajdin cast, at least what I remember. This is the next deck to talk about because it 7 spells between Meren and Edric. 7's not a lot. 7's not a lot of magic. It might be a case where the Vial Smasher deck actually might have wanted a fun police player at the table. Someone to cast a board wipe to reset the Edric and the Meren deck behind a bit, and so the Vial Smasher deck can set up after. Really, the Vial Smasher player wanted someone there so they could profit off the Mystic Remora. No one was there. No one was there to feed the fish. After that was Meren, and there's an argument that maybe Meren should have won. Maybe Meren should have won this game, but it didn't. There's an argument that Meren didn't win because Guy did not know the lines proper. We know it's Protean Hawk though. Everyone knew it was going to be Protean Hawk that should have closed out the game. It's fucking spoilers if you see Meren in the future. Protean Hawk's good. For some reason he just couldn't get to it, or he didn't choose to go for it. He did have a turn with Demonic Tutor where he went for Squirrel's Nest, I believe, because he had the Earthcraft in his hand. And there might be an argument that that was a misplay. But then again, I did have the counter magic, so I don't know. I don't know anything. I just work here. I don't want to be too hard on Guy on the Meren player because Mini Cricket. Every turn was just the scare fest. Is he gonna combo off? Is he gonna win? He's gonna win. And like he had a very oppressive board state, all things considered. He got so much card advantage off that Edric. Expect the Meren deck to come back in future videos and absolutely fucking dominate. Finally, we have the Edric player. It might be worth pointing out that Edric sort of suffers the same problem as another deck that was featured on this channel, Chulane. Here's the thing about Edric versus Chulane. They are both decks that win exactly the same way every time. What does Chulane do? Just it starts looping these creatures together and together. I have all the lands, I have all the creatures. I'm now going to play a haste pump spell. You're all dead. It wins the same way every time. And then the Edric player, what does it do? Well, small creatures, infinite turns. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. The difference between Edric and Chulane, and why I think Edric is a more interesting deck and why we should keep it around, is the politics in the beginning. Edric was the reason that Meren should have won. And that's a dynamic we wouldn't have if instead of Edric we had Chulane on the table. Furthermore, the Edric player is actually a little easier to disrupt if you can fuck with the commander, where the Chulane player can just get profit off it immediately. I don't know if you've ever played a commander where part of its gimmick is getting more lands into play, but it is incredibly trivial to recast it after our first or second destruction. Commander tax is nothing. Have you ever cast a Golos Tyler's Pilgrim? Because of that, I don't really feel the need to be like, well, that's it. Goodbye, Edric, Spymaster, Trest forever, because it mixes the game up in a way that's more chaotic than a lot of the other decks. I think it is a healthy addition to the entire stack, as it were, as opposed to Chulane, which is a bit more toxic. Comment down below your thoughts and feelings on that analysis. It's easy for me to say that, right? Yeah, my deck's great and fine and healthy, but I am comparing and contrasting it to the Chulane deck, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that analogy, on that comparison specifically. But that's it. That's all I got time for. This is like the 5th time I took this take. I got my magic cards, but now I gotta go to I gotta shove this into a machine. Don't worry about it. And then eventually dinner. And then I gotta put this video together. This video has to go up today. I'm not stressed about it, but maybe I should be. I am notorious for missing deadlines. Catch you later.